It's a funny thing. When you're a kid, you have all the energy in the world, right? You can run around all day, build forts out of pillows, ask a million questions, and you never seem to run out of steam. Your parents, on the other hand, they look tired, really tired, and you think to yourself, what's wrong with them? Why are they so slow? But then you get a little older, and you find yourself saying things like, I need a coffee, then I need another coffee. And before you know it, you're looking at a group of kids running around and you think to yourself, where do they get all that energy? Now, we could just say, well, that's just getting older, and we could all nod our heads and go home. But that's a boring answer, isn't it? It's like saying a car stopped because it ran out of go juice. It doesn't tell you anything. So, here's a more interesting question. What if I told you that the reason you feel like you're running out of gas has to do with the same fundamental law of the universe that explains why a hot cup of coffee gets cold, why a sandcastle washes away, why a neat bedroom left to its own devices becomes a mess? What if your energy isn't just disappearing? What if it's just changing? And what if understanding that change is the key to everything? Now that's an idea worth exploring, isn't it? So let's take a look. Imagine a glass of water, perfectly clear, perfectly still. Now imagine a single tiny drop of black ink held in a dropper right above the surface. That drop of ink is a little packet of water. All its particles are together, concentrated, separate from the water. Now you let it fall. Asterisk, plink, asterisk. For a beautiful, fleeting moment, you see a dark sphere, a perfect shape suspended in the clear. But what happens next? Does it stay a perfect little sphere? Does it gather itself back up into the dropper? Never? You know what happens. It begins to swirl. Tendrils of black reach out like ghostly fingers into the clear. The sharp, ordered boundary between ink and water begins to blur. The swirls get fainter, more complex, spreading throughout the glass until, eventually, the entire glass is a uniform, murky, light gray. The ink is still there, not a single particle of it has vanished. The water is still there, but the asterisk order asterisk is gone. The energy you could have gotten from the difference between the ink and the water, the potential, has been spent. It has dissipated into a state of higher disorder. What you're looking at is a law of the universe so fundamental, so inescapable, that it governs everything from the death of stars to why your bedroom gets messy. We have a name for this relentless march from order to disorder. We call it entropy. Now, why am I talking about ink in a glass of water when we're supposed to be talking about you? Because you, my friends, are not the glass of water. You are that first beautiful, fleeting moment. You are the drop of ink. You are a walking, talking, thinking, miraculously ordered system in a universe that is constantly trying to turn you into that murky, uniform gloss of gray. Every process in your body, from the way your DNA coils itself into a perfect helix to the way your heart beats in a steady, predictable rhythm, is an act of defiance against this universal tide of chaos. You are a bastion of low entropy, and maintaining that bastion, holding back the gray, requires a constant, monumental effort. It requires energy. This isn't a metaphor. It is the literal, physical reality of your existence. The universe charges a tax for the privilege of being a complex, ordered system, and that tax is called entropy. Every single thing you do, from lifting a finger to dreaming a dream, is a transaction. You perform an act of order, and the universe collects its fee in the form of dissipated energy, a tiny puff of waste heat that adds to the overall disorder of everything. When you're young, you are a master of this energy transaction. Your body is a brand new, hyper-efficient factory. You take in low-entropy fuel, an apple, a glass of milk, a piece of bread, and your cellular machinery, specifically your mitochondria, those little power plants in every cell, are phenomenal at converting that fuel into ATP, the chemical currency of life. The conversion process is clean, efficient, and produces a tremendous amount of useful energy with minimal waste. This is why a child can eat a bowl of sugary cereal and then seemingly defy the laws of physics by running in circles for 3 straight hours. Their system is optimized for growth, for action, for building more order. The entropy tax they pay on each transaction is incredibly low. The body's repair mechanisms are working at peak performance. If a cell gets damaged, a protein misfolds, a tiny little incursion of disorder, a swarm of biological janitors rushes to the scene, cleans up the mess, and restores order with ruthless efficiency. The energy budget has a massive surplus. After paying for all the essential maintenance, breathing, circulating blood, keeping warm, there's a huge amount of energy left over for discretionary spending, running, jumping, climbing, and asking an endless stream of why questions. Now, let's fast forward a few decades. The factory is still running, but it's not the state-of-the-art facility it once was. It's been operating 24/7 for a very long time. The machinery is a bit worn. The entropy tax is starting to go up dramatically. Those mitochondria, our cellular power plants, are not as efficient as they used to be. Through a lifetime of work, some of them have become damaged. They start to sputter. They take that same piece of fuel, that same apple, but the conversion process is less clean. They produce less ATP, less useful energy, and more waste products, more harmful byproducts like free radicals. Think of it as a car engine that's getting old. It doesn't get the same mileage, and it produces more smoke. That smoke, those free radicals, are little agents of chaos. They bounce around inside your cells, damaging other machinery, including the DNA itself, creating more disorder. This forces the body to spend even more energy on cleanup and repair. The biological janitors are still on the job, but now there are more messes to clean up, and the janitors themselves are getting a bit older and slower. Mistakes that would have been caught and fixed instantly in your youth might now be missed. These tiny errors, these little pockets of uncorrected disorder begin to accumulate. This isn't just happening in one place, it's happening everywhere. Your cardiovascular system, once a set of clean open pipes, might start to accumulate plaque. That's disorder. It takes more energy, more pressure for your heart to pump blood through those narrowing passages. The collagen and elastin that make your skin and joints flexible and resilient start to break down and cross-link in random ways. That's disorder. It takes more effort to move and things start to ache. Your immune system, once a precise and disciplined army that could distinguish friend from foe with unerring accuracy, can get confused. It might overreact to a minor threat, or even worse, fail to recognize a dangerous one. In some cases, it even starts attacking your own healthy cells, the ultimate act of internal disorder. So when you say you feel like you have less energy as you get older, you are not describing a psychological failing or a lack of willpower. You are giving a precise, scientifically accurate testimony of a physical state. Your total energy intake might be the same, but the allocation of that energy has fundamentally shifted. A huge and ever-increasing portion of your energy budget is being automatically diverted from discretionary spending, the wants, to non-negotiable maintenance, the needs. You're spending more and more of your energy just to keep the system from falling into disrepair. The fight against the relentless encroaching gray of entropy is costing you more. There is simply less surplus energy available for the things that manifest as vigor, as drive, as the ability to spontaneously decide to rearrange all the furniture in your living room on a Tuesday night. The feeling of being tired is the sensory experience of your body paying its ever-increasing entropy tax. It is the universe handing you the bill for a lifetime of glorious, defiant, beautiful order. It's the quiet, persistent hum of your internal machinery working overtime not to build new towers, but simply to keep the existing ones from crumbling against the ceaseless, unforgiving pressure of the cosmos. We have this idea, a very serious adult idea, that our time is a precious commodity that must be managed, optimized, and accounted for. We have calendars and to-do lists and productivity apps. We talk about deep work and flow states. We are taught from a young age to stop dawdling, to get on with it, to focus. The worst sin an adult can commit, it seems, is to be caught wasting time. But I want to propose a different idea, a mischievous idea. What if the most important work you ever do is done when you are actively, gloriously, and purposefully wasting time? Let's look at a child again, but not their physical energy this time. Let's look at their mental process. What is a child doing all day? They are poking things. They are stacking blocks until they fall over, and then doing it again. They are asking why the sky is blue, but also why a banana is not blue. They are following an ant across the sidewalk for 20 minutes. From an adult, productivity-focused standpoint, this is pure inefficiency. It is a complete waste of time. There is no clear objective, no measurable outcome. Yet this is the single most powerful learning mechanism in the known universe. This is the human brain in its default factory-installed setting. This is what I call the curiosity engine. It's a relentless, pattern-seeking, hypothesis-testing machine that runs on a very simple fuel. The question, what if, or I wonder. For a child, almost every waking moment is dedicated to feeding this engine. Their play is not leisure. It is a series of complex physics experiments, social simulations, and material science investigations. Then, we grow up, we go to school, we get jobs, and we are systematically trained to turn this engine off. We are told there is a right way to do things. We are given problems with known answers. We are rewarded for efficiency, for getting from point A to point B as quickly and directly as possible. We learn to aim our mind like a laser pointer, a tight focused beam on a specific predefined target. And this is useful, of course. You need that focus to fill out a tax form, to assemble a piece of furniture, or to follow a recipe. But we become so good at creating this narrow beam of focus that we forget how to turn on the floodlight. We forget that true discovery, the aha moment, almost never happens inside the narrow beam. It happens in the periphery. It happens when the floodlight is on, illuminating the entire messy, strange, interconnected landscape of reality. And you suddenly see a connection between two things you weren't even looking for. Think about what you are doing when you are focused. You are, by definition, actively filtering out information. Your brain is saying, this is relevant, that is not. This matters, that doesn't. You are creating cognitive blinders. This is necessary for execution, but it is death for innovation. Now think about what you are doing when you are wasting time. You're tinkering with an old radio. You're reading a book about the history of pirates. You're trying to figure out why a plate wobbles a certain way when you throw it in the air. You are not filtering, you are collecting. You are gathering random, seemingly useless data points. You are letting the curiosity engine idle, letting it pull in whatever odd bits of information it finds interesting with no immediate purpose. This is not laziness. This is the crucial and almost always overlooked first step of the creative process. It is the act of stocking the shelves of your mental pantry with exotic ingredients. You may not know what you'll cook with them yet, but when the time comes to make a new dish, you'll be glad you have more than just salt and flour. This is where it connects back to energy. We have this backward idea that as our physical energy wanes, we must conserve our mental energy by focusing only on what is important. The result? Our world shrinks. Our thinking becomes rigid. We get stuck in cognitive cul-de-sacs, solving the same problems in the same ways. We feel drained and uninspired, not because we are old, but because we are boring ourselves to death. We have shut down the very engine that generates mental enthusiasm. The act of genuine, unself-conscious curiosity is not an expense on your energy budget. It is a source of it. When you become fascinated by something, when you lose track of time trying to understand a new skill or a new idea, you are not spending energy, you are creating it. The spark of interest, the thrill of a small discovery, the satisfaction of connecting two disparate ideas, these things are the psychological equivalent of a jolt of caffeine, but with no crash. They generate a sense of vitality and purpose that no amount of productive, goal-oriented box-ticking can ever provide. It's the difference between a stagnant pond and a flowing river. The river has energy precisely because it is moving, exploring the landscape, finding new paths. The stagnant pond, in its effort to conserve everything, becomes lifeless. My own work in physics was littered with these moments. Playing with a wobbly plate in a cafeteria led to insights that helped win a Nobel Prize. Learning to crack safes was a study in algorithms and process. These were not distractions from my work. They were the work, just in a different costume. So we have this picture, the universe is a casino and the house always wins. The game is called entropy, and it's a tax on every single move you make. It's the reason you get tired. It seems like a pretty bleak story, doesn't it? A slow, inevitable slide from the bright, ordered drop of ink into a uniform, boring gray. And if your definition of energy is purely physical, purely about the ability to run a marathon or stay up all night, then yes, that story is largely true. You are fighting a losing battle. The tax collector will always get his due and his rates go up every year. But what if we've been looking at the wrong balance sheet? What if we've been so obsessed with the energy we're losing that we've failed to notice the new kind of energy we are gaining? Imagine you have two ways to start a fire. The first way is with a firecracker, a big one. You light the fuse, and for a split second, there is a tremendous, chaotic, brilliant explosion of energy. Light, heat, sound, all going out in every direction at once. It's spectacular. But it's also incredibly inefficient. Most of that energy just dissipates into the air. If you're lucky, a stray spark might land on a piece of dry tinder and start a tiny flame, but it's just as likely to do nothing at all. That firecracker is the energy of youth. It is explosive, undirected, and glorious in its wastefulness. You throw that energy at everything, at new hobbies, at late-night arguments about the meaning of life, at learning to play the guitar for 2 weeks, at sprinting for the bus just for the fun of it. The sheer abundance of it means you don't have to aim. You can afford to be a chaotic explosion, and it's wonderful. Now consider the second way to start a fire. You take a magnifying glass. By itself, it has no energy, it's just a piece of glass. The sun is shining, but its energy is diffuse, spread out over everything. It warms the ground, but it doesn't burn it. But then you take the magnifying glass and you hold it just right. You adjust the angle, you find the perfect distance, and you focus all that diffuse, gentle sunlight onto a single tiny, brilliant point. All the energy that was spread out over a wide area is now concentrated. It is directed, and at that single point, the wood begins to smoke, to char, and to burst into flame. That magnifying glass is the energy of maturity. The raw power input, the sunlight, may be the same, or even less on a cloudy day, but the asterisk application, asterisk of that power, is infinitely more effective. You have traded chaotic, explosive force for quiet, relentless, focused intensity. This isn't just a nice metaphor. This is a description of a profound neurological and psychological shift. When you are young, your brain is a data-gathering machine. It is optimized for exploration. It forges new neural pathways with incredible speed, learning, adapting, and trying things out. It's messy. It's the firecracker approach. You learn by trial and a whole lot of error. But as you get older, this process changes. The frantic construction of new pathways slows down and a different process takes over, pruning. Your brain, based on a lifetime of experience, begins to strengthen the pathways that have proven useful and trim away the ones that haven't. It's like a gardener walking through a dense, overgrown forest and slowly clearing out the underbrush, leaving behind the strong, healthy trees and creating clear, efficient paths between them. The result is that you don't have to think as hard about many things. Consider a grandmaster playing chess against a brilliant but inexperienced young player. The young player is a powerhouse of calculation. Their brain is burning through immense amounts of glucose, analyzing millions of possible moves, their mind racing. The grandmaster, on the other hand, seems almost placid. They are not analyzing millions of moves. Why? Because a lifetime of experience allows them to not even see the bad ones. Their brain has pruned away the useless lines of inquiry. They don't waste a single calorie of mental energy considering a move that they know from thousands of games will lead to a dead end. They are only looking at the 2 or 3 moves that actually matter. They are applying a tiny amount of focused energy guided by decades of pattern recognition, while their opponent is carpet-bombing the problem with raw computational power. Who has more energy in that moment? Is it the person who is sweating and thinking furiously, or the person who calmly makes the winning move with what appears to be no effort at all? This is the trade you make. You give up the ability to brute force a problem, and you gain the ability to finesse it. You lose the shotgun, which sprays pellets in a wide, hopeful pattern, and you are handed a sniper rifle, which requires a steady hand, a clear eye, and the wisdom to know precisely when to pull the trigger. In your professional life, you see a problem, and you don't just see the problem. You see it overlaid with the ghosts of 10 similar problems you've solved before. This allows you to sidestep the obvious wrong paths and aim your effort directly at the heart of the issue. In your personal life, you learn that some battles are not worth fighting, not because you lack the energy to fight them, but because you have the wisdom to see that they offer no victory. This ability to discern, to triage, to apply your effort only where it will have the maximum impact is a form of energy. It is a massive, almost magical efficiency gain. You are no longer wasting your power on friction. You are applying it directly to movement. This new form of energy also allows for a kind of creation that was impossible before. Youth is for analysis, for taking things apart to see how they tick. Maturity is for synthesis. It's the ability to take all the random, disconnected pieces you've collected over a lifetime, that book you read about naval history, that conversation you had with a biologist, that failed project from a decade ago, that summer you spent learning to bake bread and to see the hidden connections between them. You can weave them together into a tapestry of understanding, a new idea, a solution no one else could see. This is where real wisdom resides. It's not in knowing a lot of facts. It's in the architecture of how those facts are connected in your mind. The energy is now being used not to acquire new bricks, but to build magnificent structures out of the mountain of bricks you already have. You have traded the breadth of physicality for the depth of focus. You stop trying to push the river and instead learn to read its currents, using its own power to carry you where you need to go.